Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I'd just like to thank Marina and Milos for putting together this event. You've done an incredible job for something. I've been to a lot of events. I lived a long time in the US, went to school there as well. I've seen a lot of things being put together. For a first-time shot, for where we're doing this from, an insanely good job. So I'm incredibly proud and happy and privileged to be here, stand and represent all the energy that we have, all the conversations that we've had about this. Anders, that was incredible. I have to tell you, I have to put that out there. I'd like another round of applause, and I'm going to tell you why exactly. First of all, for amazing orator skills. You do not ever stop and go, I'm very self-conscious that when I talk, I stop a lot. You are just flawless. Partly, probably because you live on the northmost point of the world. You're straight to the point. We're not like that in the Mediterranean, but still very, very grateful for that. And then the second point why I'm saying this is we're very kindred spirits. You and I as developers. I also started as a single developer on my own. Shortly after, we grew as a studio up to 3 people. And I'm going to piggyback actually off of a point that's being made here tonight, which is when we see Anders' game, as you said, it is a niche game. It is a game that when you look at, it takes a certain perception to be able to appreciate fully the amount of work that goes into that, the amount of thought that goes into everything that you put into there. And I know that a lot of people, probably a lot of people in this room as well, have this experience where they look at this and they say, okay, so as a single developer or as a small studio, I'm relegated to making retro-looking games or pixel art or this or that, which one is a faulty way of thinking because retro art and pixel art is incredibly challenging to make. 2D games do not have bad graphics, and all this mumbo-jumbo that we hear nowadays is simply false. But the point is, there is still this idea that if you work in 2D, it's okay, you know, you're making something more similar, which is why these do end up being a niche. And I was actually under pressure when making my game. When I started, that was what led me to make a 3D game, right? Clearly could not do it on my own with an addition of a team. We had this idea to create a game that someday would end up on the consoles, right? The big win for everyone who's releasing a game is to release on PC, to release on PlayStation, to release on Xbox. We just launched on September 8th, I believe, on PlayStation. September 6th, sorry about that. On PlayStation, which put us basically at the tail end of this journey and tied a very neat and happy bow tie around everything. But for today, I'm going to take it back a little bit because we're a budding industry here. We're just learning the ropes, and I'm trying to bring this this process a little bit closer to what this looked like when we started. And it was very nice for me to actually see this trailer as well when I was looking at it. This is kind of the vibe that we had. I'm going to play a little bit of it and I'll skip through because we're running a little bit short on time. Okay, so I showed you long enough to see that it was very rudimentary, a lot of simple stuff, and as you can see, the transition from then, this was 4.5 years ago, I believe, basically without any kind of budget, we started this journey to build what now is a lot closer to the initial idea that we had when we were thinking about this. But, and this might help a lot of you out here, we're completely self-taught. We did not go to schools to do these things. We were learning everything on the spot with no money, right? So we worked from our rooms. There was no normal pays, super basic things, but a lot of people from here know what it is to live a very humble life. So for us, it wasn't very difficult to adapt and make things, and this was actually a very good point Jonas made earlier, to answer one of the questions, I think, which is that we don't need too much here in Montenegro. We live simpler lives, and we're not caught up in the materialistic whirlwind of the West or the East. And it gives us a kind of opportunity to sit, a lot of us still even live with our parents, and that's not even a taboo, it just is the kind of case. And it's the perfect place for indie studios to take risks. This is very much an example of us just taking a risk because we all had family fallback plans. For all of us, it was okay to move back with our families if we had to, and put basically everything on the line. And this is the point Anders was making earlier, which is you need to make an assessment about how much risk you're willing to incur. And for us, that basically was, we're willing to lose everything we have at that moment to make this come true, right? The second point is we've never doubted that it's going to happen, which is crazy because everyone was telling us the entire time that this is not possible. This is good for you guys because now we get to tell you it is totally possible. You can totally dream, you can totally build things from your living rooms, from your bedrooms. The computers don't need to be state-of-the-art. There's plenty of ways to find software nowadays. A lot of it is free. There's a lot of indie pricings. All you need to really do is I think this is actually a very good point. I'm sorry that I'm running over the sentence, but knowing that something is possible is basically half the work, right? So if someone tells you, yes, you can actually do this, you can make a big 3D world and release the game one day on console, you can do that without actually a lot of money. It will take a lot of time, but I can show you what we basically ended up with 3.5 years of development.